Hey guys, Listery here. Today I want to be explaining you a little bit about why I still play Soul Link. Soul Link is a very, very powerful spec even in this phase 2. It does feel a little bit clunky due to the fact that you do not have any insta corruption spec. So this means basically to cover the rotation. When you see an opponent, you will press Haunt first, then you will press Drain Life. Then you will press either Curse of Agony or Curse of Tongues, but usually I go for Agony to have some damage. And as a matter of fact, then I would, if it's a pure DPS rotation and it's, for example, a melee who's on me, getting me spell pushback, I would just be using my wand to do the maximum DPS in that situation. And with that tactic, really, you can't die. You cannot lose a 1v1. Soul Link is very powerful. It'll absorb 30% of all damage. Your self-healing is amazing, and you should have a decent health pool as a Soul Link Warlock as well. So to go over some of the items, I'm very close to Biz. Obviously the Tailoring Head, Gnomergam Neck. This is a slot where it comes down to personal preference. You could also go for the Ghost Shard Talisman here. I just prefer to have the extra intellect and a little bit of more spell power because remember guys, spell power equals damage and healing, which is very crucial for this build. I got the Synthetic Mantle, Bloodrot Cloak. I have the 3-piece set already. Warsong Bracers, the Epic Dagger. Guys, buy this from the auction house. I know a lot of guys are always struggling to have gold, and even if you don't want to buy gold, which I do not recommend, you can just go farm a bit. Go somewhere outside, grind some random mobs for 5 hours. Get some good green drops, try to sell them on the auction house. You'll be making 10, 20 gold an hour even if you're not super lucky. Same goes for the underworld bands, you know. Buy them. They are biz in PvP and it's not even close. Then gloves, I'm using the Dreamweave. Honestly, I would like to upgrade to Fighter Ace, which drops in Gnomergan. But those have to obviously drop first. They're gonna be a downgrade in terms of damage, but I think it's well worth it because you get the 6 stamina and you get 70 armor and 6 intellect. So it's a matter of preference, but here I definitely would take the armor. And same goes for the belt. I mean the belt, where is it? Here it is. Right now I'm using the NG one, but the blue one definitely beats that. You again more armor, bit less stamina. You get the hit which you really need, which the NG got as well. But the 12 extra spell damage is really better. And regarding the unused effect of the NG item, it's very RNG based, and you're not gonna dots cannot crit. You're not gonna be hard casting much anyway as a Soul Link. And yeah, that's about it for gear. Maybe we just talk about trinkets next. The Rune of Perfection is a must-have. With this spec, you are not going to be able to spec suppression, and you need hit because everybody has high resistances in Season of Discovery, and you just need to make sure your spells land because with this small rotation that I just explained to you, if a Haunt misses or resists or a Drain Life, then you're kind of screwed. So it's very important to have this for the spell pen and also to go for the 2% hit chance. I mean, it would be ideal to have even more, but I mean, I guess this is all the gear that you can get. So now. And otherwise, this is the gear. I mean, the demo spec is pretty straightforward. I mean, the only important thing here is to go for the stamina, obviously, to go for the demonologist, and then obviously you have Soul Link, right? So, guys, trust me, this is the best spec you can play in PvP currently. Not an organized PvP, but if you're like me and you're going more solo around the world, then this is really, really powerful. Now, you do have some capabilities to also burst if you want to. What I'll usually do is when I'm playing Battlegrounds and nobody's on me, I'll just activate my head and I will press Demonic Grace, which I'm also playing. And then you will have a very nice crit chance of, for me, about 37%, right? If I hit this. And 37 is, of course, pretty nice. And then I will just hard cast a Shadow Bolt. Yes, Shadow Bolt is inferior to Incinerate. However, for one, I got more shadow damage than fire damage. For two, I like the Demonic Grace rune. It's nice, especially when 3 melees are tunneling you. If you manage to get your positioning right, meaning facing the enemies, then you actually can get pretty good value out of this. And what I'll do is I'll press the Demonic Grace together with my head. Then I'll hard cast a Shadow Bolt, which is a 3-second cast, so it'll take forever. But then at the same time, I'll just release a Haunt. And you just have 2 projectiles hitting your enemy. And if they both crit, I mean, with my gear, they can do 1.2k damage in total, which is, of course, nothing compared to how Destruction would do. But it's still not bad, right? And this is mainly a utility spec. The main reason why I'm not playing Metamorphosis here is one ability, and it's called Fear. Fear is your best ability as a Warlock. I mean, I've been playing Warlock ever since vanilla. It's my main class. It's always been. I do not really multi-class. And I can tell you this ability, obviously when you got melees on you or a hunter pet or so and you're struggling with the spell pushback, there are situations where you just skip and just nuke. But otherwise, always use Fear, especially in Battlegrounds and also in Stranglethorn Valley. I have been farming a lot there. I mean, now I have 92 silver coins. I have the mount. I also have already Defilers at Exalted, which I did almost only via the Stranglethorn event. It's easily possible. Just whatever you do, press Fear, be useful to your teammates. You know, with this spec, you're really, really tanky. In Stranglethorn event, fully buffed, same as Battlegrounds with the health buff, I'll have close to 5k HP. So you can tank quite a lot, also due to the self-healing. And then in general, spam Curse of Tongues, use Fear. Obviously, it would be nice to have Curse of Exhaustion. This is one of the things I miss the most next to the Corruption talent. But unfortunately, we cannot get it. We won't be able to get it either, not even at level 60. So yeah, okay, no slow. But you can still be very, you can still provide utility to your team, especially with Fearing. Usually Fears break pretty fast anyway. But even if you just get one of your healers 1 or 2 seconds, that can create enormous value. Now, one more comment regarding the talents and regarding the improved corruption. For me, this was the biggest reason, even before Phase 2, why I would always say that this Soul Link spec is completely garbage. But it turns out, I mean, if you consider what kind of damage potential you have on regular Classic, you're usually, as a Soul Link Warlock, you're pressing Corruption, you're pressing Curse of Agony, and yeah, that's basically it, right? Maybe you can get an Emulate off beforehand, but you only have these 2 dots, really. And then you can maybe Drain Life or Wand or something like this. In Season of Discovery, even without Corruption, you have way more potential. Drain Life actually does more damage than Corruption would per tick, plus it heals you. And you have Haunt. So actually, even without Corruption, which I rarely press, you will be doing more damage than you would in regular Classic. Sorry guys, I almost forgot the runes. So on the chest piece, very clear, going Master Channeler, always, there's no alternative. On the waist, I personally go this Grimmer of Synergy. In my opinion, it procs a lot. I didn't really do any testing, I'm just seeing the procs, and I like it. Usually my Fell Hunter in certain situations, like 1v1, I'll send him to attack, then I'll get the proc, and it's nice to have 5% additional, but it really doesn't matter that much. Just this invocation for me is a PvE talent in its current state. Regarding the legs, as I mentioned, I like to go Demonic Grace. It's not like my pet is critting a lot, so I won't get any value out of this. Incinerate is nice, but I'm not hard casting all that much. So, an Everlasting Affliction. Again, I'm rarely casting Corruption. I tried it, I don't like it. I just go Demonic Grace. Feed Demonic Knowledge, there's no alternative. If they would buff Shadow Flame to do 5 times the damage and to do a slow, I would consider that over the flat spell power, but the spell power I'm getting now is 51. It's huge, right? It's like 25% additional spell power. And on the hands, again, you have to use Haunt. Metamorphosis is garbage. Even now, you do not want to be playing it. Another Warlock will banish you for 20 seconds, then he'll banish you for 10 seconds, then he'll fear you for 15 seconds, then he'll fear you again for 7 seconds, then he will subjugate you for 10 seconds, and then he will banish you again for 20 seconds. You do not want to be a noob playing meta. I know the Searing Pain insta 300 shots or 400 if you crit look nice, but I'm telling you, it's trash. You don't have fear, and this is the main issue. You need fear as a Warlock. And by the way, also the self-healing of Haunt and the way it will boost the damage of Drained Life as well as Curse of Agony is actually well worth it. So that's a quick explanation of why I like Soul Link Warlock. Obviously, you're not going to be the top of the meters or the top of the kill board in Battlegrounds, which usually I like being, which you could be if you would be going Shadow Burn Spec or something like that. Yeah, it's Soul Link is the best spec for me in this phase. And honestly, it feels too strong. It feels kind of like God mode. So I would not be surprised if Blizzard actually would nerf the self-healing part of it. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a nice day.